Silkworms are the rarest of the kind in all moths, particularly the Bombyx mori, super delicate and yet very commercially profitable. Silk production starts with the cultivation of mulberry to the egg production stage, where silkworm eggs are acquired from a silk moth after mating, a process which is closely monitored. After mating, the female moth lays eggs, which are later processed and packaged for rearing. After egg production, hatching and first feeding stages of the young ones come in, which later transits to the rearing stage of silkworms, which occurs in a rearing house where the worms are taken utmost care of in terms of feeding, hygiene, and general maintenance. The worms are reared for about 28 days in a well-disinfected and regularly cleaned rearing house and fed on the finest and healthy-looking mulberry leaves from a mulberry plant. From the first stages after egg production, when the silk moth lays eggs, which are later packaged and later transferred to the rearing houses for hatching, the worms are closely monitored, exposed to only the right amounts of temperatures ranging from 23 to 28 degrees Celsius. After hatching, the worms are transferred to the rearing room where they are fed on mulberry leaves and the temperatures are still closely monitored within the range. A box of silkworm eggs contains about 25,000 to 30,000 worms. As the worms transform from instars 1 to 5, their sizes do change and they become more active as they grow. Newly hatched worms are fed on finely chopped, healthy mulberry leaves, but as they grow, the sizes do increase and they can be given whole leaves or even whole branches of mulberry leaves in the later stages to feed on. The leaves are kept free from moisture as the worms do not feed on wet leaves. Mulberry leaves are the key components for a great performance among silkworms, and if fed on regularly, a farmer can be assured of a great output at the end of the rearing cycle. Moisture is also avoided on the rearing beds by application of lime, which helps to keep the worms free from wetness and also acts as a disinfectant for bacterial infections and diseases. Utmost hygiene is always maintained at every stage when taking care of worms on rearing beds, and feeding is done on a regular basis, while temperature regulation is always maintained between 23 to 28 degrees Celsius in all the 5 instars. This is for the best performance among worms during cocoon production and throughout all the 5 instars. At the 5th instar, silkworms begin to spin cocoons. These are temporary protein fiber homes for their pupal stage before they transform into moths again. The life cycle of a silkworm is the normal life cycle of any insect, mostly that of a butterfly or a moth. Silkworms too transit from the egg stage to the larva and then the pupal stage, and finally they hatch back into moths. At the larva stage, silkworms are the most active as they feed so often with very high appetites. So to be kept in the best of performance, the worms are fed on 3 to 4 meals per day or even as often as they can consume. Therefore, a farmer has to note that this is the most vital stage as it is the biggest determinant for a great cocoon harvest at the end of the rearing cycle. This stage, therefore, has to be closely monitored as many challenges creep up, causing late or no cocooning, or even worse, many deaths among the worms. Some of the challenges include diseases and infections arising out of neglect, poor hygiene, or no disinfection of the rearing house, or even the rearing beds before the rearing starts. This is the reason why cautious handling and management of worms is highly encouraged so that farmers do not make losses at the end of the day. After the larva stages, silkworms begin to transform into a whole new stage, the pupa stage. At this stage, the worms start being quite dormant in feeding as they spin a white protein fiber, or it can have a natural pigment like yellow, red, purple, among other colors, which acts as a protective shield for its pupa. Cocoons have to be handled in a way that they dry in time, or else a farmer risks them turning into butterflies. The time ranges from 0 to 28 days after cocooning. The cocoons are harvested from cocoon frames treated with aluminium sulfide, dried under high temperature conditions, which kills the pupa inside the cocoon, and thereafter a silk thread is extracted. The standard weight of a cocoon is 4 grams when dry, and it is determined by the size of the silkworms when they are in their larva stage. Uniform cocooning can be by an aid of a spinning frame, and these exist in both plastic and wooden forms. However, if a farmer can afford neither of these, they can opt for the local way of using dry banana fibers. Though here, a farmer risks having not uniformly sized cocoons after harvest, as some will be of standard weight, while others slightly below the standard weight. Temperature regulation is still a key determinant in the size and length of the cocoons, as silkworms are able to expand their bodies further in higher temperatures, thereby lengthening the size of the cocoons. It is after the cocooning stage that cocoons are harvested, dried, and treated before the silk moth emerges through. Drying is done by exposure to high heat temperatures by sunlight or cocoon dryers. It is after the drying stage that the cocoons are processed into fine silk fabrics. The silk fabric production stages of reeling, re-reeling, silky and twisting, weaving, printing and dyeing, finishing and silk waste processing all occur in a factory where post-cocoon processing machines are fully installed and operationalized under expert supervision. It is after these stages that trading and marketing of silk products is commenced. Products like gomesses, neckties, shirts, dresses, nightgowns, bags, handheld fans, and bed sheets, among others, are fabricated and put up for sale or exportation. It is from this that a trader can earn high revenue from silk products, being the queen of fabrics, going for quite pricey costs on the global market. This is the normal life cycle of a silkworm.